Hello fellow astronomers, Jonathan here. Today we're back at the Besser Museum Planetarium to talk all about astrology, or more specifically the zodiac constellations inside of the astrology pseudoscience. Now these constellations were originally created, as far as I can tell, by the ancient Sumerian people, many thousands of years ago, who are even more ancient than the ancient Greeks themselves. And over time, with some cultural diffusion, these constellations made their way to the west and are still associated as being a part of the sky to this day. Now, there are 12 distinct constellations, with each constellation representing a different part of the year. And that part of the year is associated with the sun's movement through the sky, or at least our perception of the sun's movement from the sky. This orange line right here is called the ecliptic, and it is the apparent path of the sun as it travels throughout the year. And the reason why we associate different times of the year with different constellations is because of this ecliptic. When the sun moves into a constellation, we consider that part of the year, well, part of that constellation. So if you're born from parts of June to July, you'll be a Gemini. Now, when astronomers discuss constellations, we're not referring to the stick figures or the pictures themselves. We're talking about this interesting shape that surrounds the constellation. And this shape, well, it's just a sort of made-up demarcation that astronomers use to help divide the sky up into manageable chunks. It's the same way that we divide up land masses into countries, states, counties, or any other diversity. Essentially, we're just making the night sky more manageable, and having an agreed upon standard allows astronomers all across the world to work together. This is why if you ever read a news article about a new astronomical discovery, they'll always say that it was discovered X amount of light years in the constellation of Taurus, or whatever constellation they're discussing. This article isn't saying that that object is in one of the stars or even the picture of Taurus. It's saying it's in this weird shape that surrounds the constellation itself. Now, just to drive home how the zodiac works, let's take a look from outer space. Essentially, as the Earth is rotating around the sun, from our perspective, the sun is moving in front of different constellations. And when the sun is in that specific constellation, well, that part of the year is associated with that specified zodiac. And that's literally just how simple it is. Now, this doesn't mean that they actually affect our daily livelihoods, at least not in the way that a horoscope would mean. And the reason why we can say that for certain is because the constellations are just a figment of our imagination. If we take a look at our constellations from outside of not only planet Earth, but outside of our solar system entirely, we can begin to get an idea of what the constellations actually look like from outer space. And the answer isn't really pretty, to be honest. Instead of being the distinct shapes and figures, all the constellations end up as this jumbled assortment of shapes, centering on our sun somewhere over here. Now, while we may associate a certain constellation as Taurus the Bull, the reality is that all the stars in that constellation have little to nothing to do with each other. They may be hundreds, if not thousands of light years away from one another. And it's only from our perspective on planet Earth that they turn into that bull. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching our video today. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you like what you saw here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you can catch more in the future. And as always, keep your eyes on the stars.